Good morning, good morning. Welcome to our Raw Belly conversation for November. My name's Anna. This is Alison. We are part of the ProDog team. And if you're a dog owner who'd like to feel better informed, to take a healthier and more natural approach to your dog's health and happiness, then you are in exactly the right place. And if you suspect that your dog is carrying a few extra pounds, then you are definitely listening to the right live for today, because we are going to be talking all about weight management and specifically weight loss for dogs. So for those of you who are watching back, as always, please feel free to add your comments and questions, because we do always monitor the page and we will always get back to you. And again, as always, if you would like some specific nutritional feeding advice, you can contact us via our email address, which is customer-services@prodograw.com, or you can just direct message us via Messenger on Facebook as well. I can see there are some people joining now, so good morning to you. My name's Anna. This is Alison. We are part of the ProDog team, and this is the Raw Belly conversation for November. So if you suspect that your dog has tipped the scales from cuddly to chubby, perhaps they're carrying a little bit more weight than you would like to see on them, and you would like to learn some tips really on how to help your dog lose a little bit of weight, then you are in exactly the right place for today. So we're going to be talking about the importance of weight management. We're going to be sharing a method to help you determine whether your dog is overweight or not, and then we're going to be sharing our 5 steps to weight loss as well. And we do also have a really special announcement at the end as well. So anybody who is really committed to helping their dog lose weight, then we have an announcement at the end for something which could really help you move forward with that, and it's something that's going to be happening in the new year. So we'll give you an update on that at the end. But as always, hit the like button and let us know that you're with us. Drop us a comment. Let us know where in the world you are watching from. And I think that's all. So we'll just get into it then.
Yeah. Just if the door goes, I will mute, because as I say, postman's always due around about this time. So
yes.
This is the joys of having dogs when you're doing lives.
I know. So Alison, why is weight management so important for dogs?
Well, it's like humans. Obviously, the more overweight and further up the scale and obese you get, the much more increase in health issues that you're going to get. So diabetes, joint issues, obviously keeping your dog lean when they've got joint issues is really important. The heavier they are, the more stressed they are on the joints. Heart disease is obviously increases the bigger the weight. And yeah, as I say, even up to things like cancer, really, because the more overweight they are, the less sort of lively and energetic, for exercise wise, which helps clear lymph sort of stress and all sorts when they're out. So yeah, keeping your dog lean just has so much more benefits. And some of the studies actually show that you will lose around on average 2 years of potential your dog's life by being quite overweight.
Yeah.
So we all like to think that our dogs are going to live forever, but 2 years is a long time if we can improve that and get them sort of as long as life as possible.
Yeah, and helping them to live that best life, helping them to feel the energy and vitality they need to just go and be dogs.
And be comfortable. That's the thing, is as comfortable as possible.
So because one of the things that can be tricky for people, and I know even for me with my own dog, and I've said to you, I'm borderline whether he is carrying a little bit too much extra weight or not. So how can people?
I mean, we've had this conversation, haven't we, for the last couple of days, including one of mine. I mean, I've got 3. breeds differ. So, you're going to get your really sort of thin, slender, whippet type greyhounds, which have obviously a different physique than maybe, a Staffy or a Bulldog. So you can't really quite compare those exactly the same, but they should all still have a waist, a definitive waist that you can see quite easily. And, things like the breed with thick coats, like you've got thick coated with Rudy, all of mine are thick coated because the poodle crosses. So I think sometimes I can think one of mine actually looks bigger than she is. But a lot of that is thick coat. So it's sort of knowing your breed, knowing the physique of that breed, but obviously being able to determine whether they are slightly overweight. I mean, severely overweight, it's normally quite obvious, really, to most people. But as I say, you've said it with Rudy. I've said it with Markle because she was groomed Tuesday, so she's had all her coat off, and I've sort of said, haven't I? She's borderline. She's not as lean as she should be, and how how I would prefer her to be. Yeah. So as I say, the breed makes a difference. The bigger, the thicker the coat. So the way to do that is obviously to monitor the weights, but also to look at the shapes. Which Anna, you're sharing a screen now, aren't you? Of how you can sort of see from a side view, and also looking from above down, sort of over the top of them, and you can sort of see the difference and the shapes that they should be. I mean, generally, a good defined, definitive waist. So as I say, with mine are quite deep chested, and they go up and then tucks right sort of behind the back leg. Is ideal, really, with not too many ribs protruding out and showing, and certainly the backbone as well. If you feel on the backbone of the hips, if those are sticking out and really quite protruding, then that really is a matter of them being underweight.
So just to say this, I've borrowed this image from ukpetfood.org, and it's a really great. It really brings to life the whole body scoring, the way to body score. So that's what we're talking about now. It's a system called body scoring, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like the doggy version of BMI, really, isn't it? The first one's obviously emaciated thin, and there's a local RSPCA rescue dog that's just up the road from me that we've been going and helping with some of our supplements to build up. And we'll share those pictures shortly, because he is. He's a lovely golden doodle boy that, bless him, has been not very well treated and locked in a shed for the 2 years of his life. And you can see then just how emaciated he was. His skin was all matted. He's got no muscle at all. And he's literally, he couldn't even walk when they first got him because he had zero muscle mass at all, and obviously very emaciated. Yeah. So yeah, you can see there his hips, bones there really protruding out. As I say.
Yeah.
And obviously, he has been sort of clipped, not properly, but they were just obviously trying to get all his matted fur off him. So that's basically a very underweight, emaciated dog.
Yeah. And he's actually looking for home, isn't he, Alison?
He is, bless him, he is. They just, I was tempted, but I've just not the right timing for me. But yeah, he's about 3 years old. And he's a lovely natured boy, considering what he's been through. He really is, but he needs someone at home, really, most of the day to start with, at least for the first couple of months. Because he's still on 6 small meals a day at the minute, because it's too much food, obviously, he struggles with to digest.
So if anybody knows anyone who could potentially consider taking him on, then please do let us know. Ideally, he needs to stay in Manchester area, is that right?
Yeah, he's in the northwest area, and the fosterer that's got him for the RSPCA is feeding him. He's being raw fed, and he's on our Revive supplement and Muscle Plus as well to help build him back up. And thankfully, she's on a working farm. So the reason how we got through this was colostrum. He had fresh colostrum for the first sort of 4 or 5 days because he just couldn't keep anything down. So
this was 2 weeks later.
Yeah, that was just the beginning of the week. So look how well he's gone. Obviously, he's still underweight, but he's he's building his strength up, and he's getting there. He's putting the weight on slowly, which is great.
So going back to this, potentially he probably started off as a 1 and now he's probably about a 2.
He's up to 2.
So he's still slightly underweight, but better. So then we move on to ideal. So we've got an example here. It's one of yours, Alison.
That's Winnie. That's the feral one. Yeah. So I mean, obviously she's quite deep chested. She's a poodle cross, but you can see there the very defined waist that tucks right up behind the leg. So yeah, and you can if you put your hands on the back of her, you can't really feel her hip bones. She's got a layer of fat, a small layer, thin layer of fat over that. And also her ribs as well. You can feel them very easily, but not too easily, if that makes sense. As I say, she's got a thick coat as well, so it's not as visually obvious. But, you know, you can tell by looking at her that she's like quite a perfect weight with good muscle definition. And just how I class as a perfect looking dog.
Yeah, and then borderline.
That's the one that's Markle. And that I had her clipped on Tuesday. Now she is basically Mrs. will eat anybody's food given the opportunity. So this is where it's difficult to manage food intake with her. Is I have to have my eyes on everybody else because she'll wolf hers down first, and if Winnie leaves a bit of hers, and obviously Winnie's on a lot more food because she's a bigger dog, she's first in to snaffle it up, which is why her ideal weight is about 21 kilos. And I whizzed her up to the vets yesterday just to check, and she's just under 23 now. So for me, she's borderline. She's not overweight, but she's not as lean as she should be. And if you can see down there, she's not got as a defined waist. And if you try and feel her ribs, you can feel them, but not like Winnie's. She has got a bit of a thicker layer of fat there. So yeah, so she's on a diet basically. She only needs to lose about 1 kilo. That's her ideal weight for me. She's a medium-sized dog, so yeah. As I say, she's certainly not fat, but she's not as lean as she could be.
So perhaps if we were going by the body scoring, we may put her somewhere between 3 and 4, basically. In, like she definitely doesn't need to put on any more weight.
No,
she's possibly not necessarily overweight as such, but it's, as we've said, borderline. And I believe that's probably a very similar situation for my dog as well.
Yeah, as I say, she's the smallest out of my 3. So she's on the least amount of food out of my 3. And as I say, I am quite strict with treats and and they get a lot of exercise. But the issue with her is she will snaffle everybody else's if they leave any. And that's what happens, and that's why she's put it on. So yeah, I've just got to be on that a bit better. Yeah, and that is a overweight dog. I mean, that should be pretty obvious to most people. His belly sort of hangs down. He's got no waist whatsoever. You cannot feel his ribs at all. So yeah, and with him, bless him, you can see from the above, he is a pug, but he's a pug cross with a Jack Russell. So to be honest, he hasn't got that flat a nose face. But if it gets slightly warm, he just really struggles. And a lot of that will be part breed, don't get me wrong, but a lot of that is his weight. He can't manage, and he's not a particularly old dog, but he really struggles with exercise and walking. And as I say, it's just not good for the joints and general health to be carrying that much weight.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to lift. Yeah, he has to be lifted into the van. He can't jump in, and it's not that high. So yeah. So yeah, and obviously when you get to the obese, as I say, the bellies all hang down. And they struggle. They struggle with everything. They struggle to get up. They struggle, breathing for some breeds a lot more. So yeah, it's just not great to let them get that big.
So for those people who are thinking, I do think perhaps my dog needs to shed a few pounds, they are perhaps borderline or definitely overweight, then what would be, so we've got our 5 tips to weight loss. If we just run through those.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing to do is if you are unsure, is pop them to the vets. I know our vets do a free sort of weigh-in fit club, I think they call it up at mine, where it's the vet nurses, and they'll do, you know, they'll help your body score if you're unsure anyway, and they'll advise whether, you know, they think your dog is slightly overweight or not, because I think it's the borderline where people struggle with, whether they think they are a little bit or not. So yeah, and I, you know, as I say, there are sort of guidelines where you can use your hands, feel over them, spread, obviously whether you can feel the ribs and whatnot quite easily. But as I say, if you are unsure, then we always say, you know, nip to the vets and get them weighed, because I say she's obviously, the last time she was weighed, I think was January or February when I went up. So as I say, she's gone up like 1.5 kilos. So that's why I know, and she was perfect then. So yeah. And then work out how much you actually think that they want to lose. Like with her, I say it's only a small amount really, and so you need to just work out really how much you feel that they should be as an ideal body weight generally, and just keep monitoring it. The second thing is obviously evaluate the diet. Look at what you're feeding. Removing as many sort of carbohydrates and starchy carbohydrates. If possible, if you're adding extra things in, or if your dog's on, most people on here obviously will be on a raw diet, but you know, things like treats, biscuits. I sort of quite well known around here dog walking, and you know, we've got plenty of lovely people are out there with big like Win-A-Lot biscuits that feed all the dogs on walks. So you need to sort of, you know, stop that if need be. You know, I like mine to sort of meet people and get treats off people and whatnot. But as I say, Markle's the first to find the walkers with the treats on the canal. So as I say, pumping her with a load of biscuits is not ideal now at the moment when she's out on walk. So yeah, just portion control as well. You know, portion control, weigh the dog's food, check out via our calculator what they should be being fed per day, and then evaluate how many treats you're giving on top of that, whether it's chew treats, biscuits, bedtime snacks, or any additions that you add in. And if you do need to lose a little bit, then I'd cut those out first of all, and just stick to very small, natural meat-based treats.
Brilliant. I'm just looking for the link to our raw food calculator. So this, I'm going to share this in the comments. So for anyone who just want to use that, just to double check the amount that you're feeding your dog and whether that is the recommended quantity.
Yeah, and there is a difference between obviously the completes and the pure meals, 8 to 10 10. You know, if you're feeding 500 grams of the pure 8 to 10 10, you will be getting slightly more calories on that than you would with our completes, generally because there's 15% veg in that. So that's also something to take into consideration as well. So because a lot of people do add in on their 8 to 10 10, add in their own extras of greens and supplements, etc.
Yeah. Okay. So step 3.
Exercise evaluation. I mean, obviously, the bigger the dog, you can't start taking a beast dog on a 15-mile run because you're going to obviously cause, well, you probably, I would dread to think really. But yeah, so obviously look at the evaluation of their exercise, how much off-lead running are they getting? And I appreciate, you know, some dogs can't necessarily be let off a lead because of either recall issues, behavioral issues, or other things. But yeah, maybe, you know, evaluate the exercise. Are they getting enough exercise? Can you give them, you know, an extra fast-paced walk if need be? And I know you use one, don't you, Anna? But there's also these secure My Doggy Fields type places that are secure, that if you are struggling with your dog for off-lead exercise, because of, you know, behavioral issues or whatever, then these fields are quite reasonable, most of them, and you can book them, can't you, to sort of just do a bit more extra.
Yeah, and for me, because I have had some challenges with my dog around behaviour, and so like Alison's just said, I do rent a secure field so they can run around off lead, and there's just no concern, no stress for anyone then. And also I take him out on a long line quite often now as well, because and I'm lucky that I've got areas around me where he can run, because on the long line he just moves more. than if he's just on a shorter lead, healing, walking along with me. So he does get to explore a bit more. It's good for his mental well-being as well, because he can go and explore and have a good sniff around, and he just gets to move more on a long line as well. So I think it is being creative. And I also do some like tug play with him, which is also using quite a lot of physical energy. And that's only needed for about 10 minutes, and then he's worn out from that. So there's just finding ways to be creative with just getting them moving a little bit more, but like Alison says, in a safe way.
Yeah, it needs to be in a safe way. As I say, you need to, if your dog's not been used to much exercise, or it struggles with exercise, it's got joint issues, then obviously you need to consult with your vet and just see what's a safe way. Because we find that we have dogs that have obviously just had operations or ruptured cruciates, and obviously rehabilitation is slow, and so that in that respect you need to ensure that you're reducing the food down accordingly, so that they're not piling the weight on. And there's hydrotherapy, isn't there? There's swimming, there's all these things, but appreciate there's a cost to that if it's not covered on your insurance. But I'm sure vets will be able to advise on that in your local area to help build up. And once they start building the muscle up and they're improving, it's like us, isn't it? When not been to the gym for a couple of weeks, the first class nearly kills you, and then you sort of get back into it. So somebody's just put about avoiding root vegetables. Yeah, say I had a customer that was adding sweet potato in, and again that does turn to sort of sugar in the body. So helping remove anything like that, any sort of high starchy vegetables, and stuff like that, and just replacing with greens. You can bulk it out with greens. Just greens are healthy, full of antioxidants, and can be quite filling without adding a load of extra sort of calories.
Yeah, brilliant.
So, and I think certainly goals for the long term. You're not going to get a quick fix. It's not even healthy to get. You're not going to drop a load of weight immediately, and you've got to reduce the food down in a safe way. You want to ensure that they're still getting all the nutrients from the food, as opposed to just starving them, if that makes sense. So they need to be still getting good nutrition in the right amount, and reduce it down slowly and safely. Otherwise, you're going to have a dog that's going to go into starvation mode. Yeah,
really important. Yeah.
And slow and steady wins, as we say. Notice that's what she'll be like, smaller portions now, watching over that she won't pinch anybody else's food, and making sure that all the well-meaning, lovely people on my walks are not giving her a load of biscuits.
Brilliant. And then step 5.
Yeah, and I mean, you will have some dogs that no matter how strict you are with diet and how great you are with exercise, that they still really struggle to lose any weight. And in that case, you really do need to discuss this with your vet, and maybe check out for thyroid issues, any other medical issues that could cause weight, like heart issues, Cushing's, those sorts of things. So there are those dogs that, even some dogs that have been neutered quite early, as I say, they can really struggle with weight, because hormones do affect weight, as we all know. So those are the 5 that we've put together.
Brilliant. So as I said at the beginning, we've got an announcement to make, because what we are planning to do is run an online weight loss program for dogs, which will start in February. And so if you're thinking that you would really like to help your dog to lose weight, if you feel like you would like some extra help with that, then look out for, we're going to be promoting it towards the end of December and throughout January. It will be an application process, because we will have very limited spaces, but it is a free program. And it runs, like I said, throughout February. We'll have regular weekly Zooms, and Dr. Nick Thompson, for those of you who know him, he's the holistic vet, and he's going to be helping with the program. It's called the Lean Dog Squad. And so you'll have the opportunity to get help and assistance from Dr. Nick throughout February, as well as Alison. Like I said, we'll have regular Zooms. We will have a webinar to kick it off to just provide lots of information and resources for people. And then we'll have a private Facebook group for people who are part of the Lean Dog Squad. And then that'll run for 3 months in total. So to the end of April in total. But for March and April, it won't be a weekly thing for March and April. It'll be more just sort of to check in probably once a month. But through February, it will be once a week. It'll be very regular. And like I said, you'll get that expert advice from Dr. Nick Thompson, as well as Alison as well. So we're really excited about that. So we hope to be able to help lots of dogs drop those extra pounds and get back to living their best life again. And I think that's it really. I mean, like I said, we'll be promoting the Lean Dog Squad in December and January. We'll definitely obviously be sharing all the information about that and how to apply and everything you need to know in the Rebellion, in the ProDog Rebellion group as well. And I think that's all I needed to say.
I think we're going to be doing some sort of mini sort of like weight loss percentage wise incentives as well during that, aren't we, Anna? So
yeah, so there'll be some unique offers as well for people who are involved with that in terms of our ProDog food. And yeah, like I said, it's a free program. The aim of it is we just really want to help people to understand more about how to help their dogs lose weight safely, and obviously share that message with other people around them as well. So
yeah, because we decided February, didn't we? Because January, everyone's just getting over Christmas, New Year, and just dealing with their own weight increase for all those Christmas puddings and mince pies. So yeah, it just gives us plenty of time to sort of get that sorted in January, ready for kickoff in February.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, for those of you who don't know Dr. Nick Thompson, he's essentially dedicated his career to helping to educate people around natural feeding, raw feeding, holistic healthcare. He's just an absolute goldmine of information, and we're just really pleased that he's collaborating with us on that.
Yeah, because we saw there was some stats as well, weren't there? Wasn't there that there was, I think 68% roughly, I think this was the States though, to be fair, of dogs that are actually overweight, but only about 40% of people actually realised the dogs were actually overweight. And like I say, it's easy, if they're borderline, it is easy to sort of miss that really. And we are used to seeing a lot of overweight dogs, so that sort of sometimes seems a bit of the norm.
Yeah, definitely. So if you have, like I said, this will be open to anyone to apply to be involved with. So if you do have friends or neighbours or family who you feel their dog perhaps could do with losing a little bit of weight, then obviously signpost them in our direction, and we'll share all the details with you later on in December, so that you can get involved if you would like to. Yep. We're not going to have a Facebook Live in December because it will fall literally Christmas week. But we will be back at the beginning of January. We will be talking more about weight loss throughout January as well. And
I think is Nick joining us January?
Yes.
On the Facebook Live on the main page.
Yeah, we'll be doing a live on our main page, and Dr. Nick will be joining us for that as well, to talk about weight loss and to talk about the Lean Dog Squad program as well. So we are excited for that. So thank you everyone for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
And we hope to speak to you all soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Bye.